Welcome back for episode 3 of the Reinventing Andrea 2.0 podcast. I hope you're having a great day, night, whatever time it is that you're listening, and I hope your new year is off to a bang. So, on tonight's episode, I'm going to talk about some of the lesser known or lesser talked about facts of weight loss surgery. And I really want to say that I'm not telling you this to scare you out of having the surgery. It's just some things you may not have been told, especially if you're just starting out on your journey to have your surgery. And I found out all these things along the way, and they didn't make me change my mind. I just feel like it's something you need to know. But just so you know from the beginning, this is a one-woman operation. I don't have writers, editors, sponsors, or at least yet I don't have sponsors or any of the other fancy stuff. I write my own content, record it in my bedroom, edit it myself, and I don't make a dime off of this or my true crime podcast either. It's mostly just something that I enjoy doing as a hobby. Now, be sure to check out the links in the episode description for my social media pages. And I also want to add right here that this is my experience, and experiences will vary. I have learned along the way from talking to others that the process varies from like surgeon to surgeon, state to state, insurance to insurance, and patient to patient. But anyway, let's get started. So, the first thing that stands out to me that I feel like you should know is that after surgery, you shouldn't take any NSAID medications. That's stuff like ibuprofen, Aleve, those types of things. And I'm not going to say that you can't, but it's strongly discouraged. Now, why? It's thought that it can cause ulcers, internal bleeding, and some other issues. Now, I know a lot of you, like I did, take it for arthritis and other ailments, but you can still take Tylenol and other prescription medications for your aches and pains. And I recently found out that the Tylenol arthritis formula is stronger than just regular plain old Tylenol. So that's something to consider also. And it's also available like in store brands like Equate and that type of thing. Now, back in the early part of December, this is how I found all this out about the arthritis Tylenol. But back in the early part of December, I went to the ER because I was having this horrible pain in my right foot. Now, I was sure that it was something like a stress fracture or something like that. But after they did X-rays, it was found that I have a bone spur on my heel, and it's about the size of a $half piece. And it was pressing up into my ankle, causing all that pain. And the doctor that I saw said that the normal course of treatment is ibuprofen. But, since I was a bariatric patient, all I could really do was take Tylenol and see a podiatrist. Oh, and I could try ice and see if that helped too. But mostly the thing that's helped it was giving it some rest and taking the Tylenol. But another thing that you need to know, and this doesn't happen to everybody, and I'll probably say it again before it's over with, but a lot of times relationships will change. Now, I call it finding out who your true friends are. Now, not everyone is going to support you on this journey of surgery. Their reasons range from everything like telling you that surgery is dangerous. Some people are jealous, whatever. But listen, you don't have to justify anything to anybody. This is about you and your health. Now, most people who think weight loss surgery have failed, or most people that think that weight loss surgery is dangerous, they fail to do their own research. And they're only gonna, they're only listening to like countless ignorant things that they've heard or have read. People will say this happened. Well, I knew so and so, and they had this, and it was because of that surgery, and blah blah blah. But you know, talk to your doctor, get the facts. Do your own research. Just don't listen to what other people are saying, because this is about you. Now, as far as the jealousy goes, it exists, and it's because they're projecting their own insecurities onto you. And it's not just friendship relationships that's going to change. Romantic relationships can end as well because, as the partner loses weight, the other partner can become insecure because, maybe now you're getting a bunch of attention from others. Now, I'm not going to say that it's going to happen, and I hope it doesn't happen to you. It hasn't happened to me because I've been single this entire time. But anyway, um, if you do start seeing little signs that it could be happening, do some marriage counseling, or talk to your preacher or something, try to fix it. Because a lot of times it's misunderstanding, just from what I've seen in others. It really doesn't have to even be therapy or counseling, because, there's also support groups out there for couples. It's, definitely something to think about. And, going back to those risks and complications, yeah, there are some risk and complications from the surgery, but you can have risk and complications from any surgery. And here's the thing, there's also a lot of risk involved if you stay at an unhealthy weight. I mean, if you don't have it yet, you could still end up with like high blood pressure, and you could become a diabetic. You'll have joint pain. I mean, all this weight on your body is a big risk. It can just cause tons of issues. Now, this next one, it might be a little bit too much for some of you, but here's the thing, you might have issues going number 2 when you go to the bathroom. Now, my normal before surgery was going a couple of times a day, and constipation was something that I very, very rarely experienced. But now my normal is going once every 3 or so days. I do have to say, though, that I've been on a roll lately and I've went the past 4 days in a row. But anyway, that's probably something you didn't need to know. But yeah, like I said, like, it's just one of those things that changes after surgery, and you'll more than likely get back to a regular, you know, routine of going number 2. But in the week or 2 after surgery, I was just plain out miserable. And I know you might think, not eating, you're not eating that much, so how could you even possibly have anything to poop? But as you might already know, protein becomes a big part of your life after weight loss surgery. Like, with my doctor recommends that I consume like 80 to 90 grams of protein a day, or, like I said, that's what my surgeon and my dietitian recommends. Now, protein is known to cause constipation. The only time that I can ever remember being so miserable with constipation was like 15 years ago when I was pregnant with Nick. And now that I'm almost 4 months post-op, things are improving, thank goodness. Now, what has really helped me a lot is a combination of things. I up my water consumption. I'm now getting like 98 to 103 ounces of water a day. And I also take methyl cellulose fiber therapy pills a couple of times a day. And I take a stool softener daily too. Now, I know it sounds like a lot, but it really works. And before, if that's something you need to try, I do recommend talking to your doctor first, because I don't take it on my recommendation. Like I said, I'm just telling you what works for me. Um, but if you do go and look for the fiber therapy pills, um, like I said, it's the methyl cellulose ones that I take, and I do recommend those because they don't cause like all the bloating and gas like the psyllium husk type does. And the only place that I've ever really found that type, even like I've even looked on Amazon, but the only place I've found that type of fiber therapy pills is at Walmart, and it's the Equate brand, and it's only like $10 a bottle. But now, on the flip side of constipation, I've also known some people to have diarrhea like for several weeks after surgery. Now, I'm not sure if it's something that the anesthesia causes, but as I'll probably say a million times, talk to your doctor about it before you try anything over the counter to stop it, just in case there are things, you can't take, or it could be that your doctor suspects something else is going on. And it definitely pays to be cautious, especially in the early stages. If something's not right, ask your surgeon, your nurse, dietitian, whatever. Now, One thing that I can't stress enough is that weight loss surgery. It's not magical. It's not this thing that you just wake up and you just start losing weight. You still have to do the work. And you'll get tired of hearing this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Weight loss surgery is a tool to help you. Okay. Mechanics, they have tools to help them fix your car. I mean, the wrench doesn't do it itself. If you crochet or knit, you know that your hook or needles don't create cool things without you putting those tools to work. Now, it's the same with weight loss surgery. It is a tool. And unless you have some quack for a surgeon, your surgeon will have a plan for you to follow after surgery. It's usually something like a week of liquids only. Then for a week or two after that, you'll have what they call like full liquids. And it's stuff like cottage cheese, strained soups, stuff like that. And after that, I moved on to soft foods for about 2 weeks. And then finally, I was able to move on to regular foods. Now, when I say regular foods, I'm not talking about anything and everything. Okay. You have to make smart choices, read the labels, measure your portions. And I know this sounds like a lot of work, but if you don't put in the work, your new tool's not going to work for you. And yeah, you have to exercise too. Like, I'm in several like bariatric groups on Facebook, and I see so many people in those groups that say um they never exercise. They've never exercised and they're losing weight. And that might be somewhat true because yeah, you're gonna like not be taking in as much food, but your body needs to purposely move. You don't want to lose muscle mass. And if for no other reason, the feeling you get from the endorphins that are released when you're working out, it's just absolutely amazing. Plus, it will help you like maintain your weight when you reach your goal. Now, along with losing weight, you may experience hair loss. Now, knock on wood, so far I haven't experienced that, but I do have wigs on standby if it does happen. Nick calls one of them Hannah. So that, my Hannah wig is waiting. But anyway, I've read comments on posts about it that say that it comes from trauma from surgery and it happens with any surgery. And that might be true for some people, but I'm not sure that I'm fully buying that theory because if that were true, I'd have already experienced it from surgeries that I've had in the past. Um, what I believe, and I mean, I don't have scientific proof, but I believe it comes from nutritional deficits. And protein is just so important for many reasons. But in this case, if you're not getting enough, whether you've had weight loss surgery or not, it could happen. And that's why it's so important to get those grams of protein in along with your vitamins. And now I also take a biotin and collagen supplement to help and hopefully prevent this weight or hair loss. Um, I'll come back and let you know in a few months if it's truly working for me. But so far, so good. Um, you know, of all the people that I know that have had weight loss surgery, only a handful of them maybe have lost a ton of hair. Most of them, it has thinned out and you can see their scalp a little bit, but it's not terribly bad. And I'm hoping if it happens, it won't be terribly bad for me. But moving on. Now, one big thing that I want to talk about is called transfer addiction. Not everyone has this issue, and it's not an issue for me, but many people who were once addicted to food, once they have the surgery, they'll switch that addiction to something else like drugs or alcohol or both. Now, the reason alcohol can be such a problem after weight loss surgery is because our bodies metabolize at a much faster rate, so you get drunk quicker. But that buzz wears off pretty fast. So you drink more and more to keep the buzz going. And the next thing you know, you're drinking 24/7. And while you may have lost weight, you now have a new problem. And that's just a rabbit hole that you really don't want to go down. I hate to keep mentioning those groups on Facebook, but there's one particular member that she was like pleading with people that you don't want to like transfer your addiction of food to something else like she did. And I think a lot of the problem that she had was that after she started losing weight, she got a divorce, and she drank to comfort herself because she didn't have food for comfort anymore. And then she just became a raging alcoholic. And she was just, telling people that's not something you want to do. So, if you feel like you're doing that, talk to your surgeon, or, you know, do something. Don't just let it overtake your life. But y'all, finally, there's a little something that's called buyer's remorse. And I know you've probably heard of that before, with like you bought a car and you regret it, or you bought a major appliance or something like that and you just wished you hadn't. But in the bariatric world, it is one of these things that usually happens in the first couple of weeks after surgery. Now, the first couple of weeks after surgery is rough. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you've got the liquid diets, you got some pain and discomfort, you're missing the foods that you used to eat. And, it can just make you feel regret for having the surgery. But let me tell you, that feeling doesn't last long. The day after my surgery, like that Tuesday, because my surgery was on a Monday. So on Tuesday, I was so nauseous and just sick. I mean, just plain out sick. I didn't really have a lot of pain. I just felt nauseous. And I believe it was because, and I've already told you the story of, how long my surgery lasted, but I believe it was from being under anesthesia for so long. But I just kept wondering why on earth I had even wanted to do this. I was like, why did I do this to myself? I'm like laying here regretting it right now in this hospital bed. But the thing is, it didn't last long. Now, at almost 4 months post-op, I'm so happy that I decided to pursue weight loss surgery. And I already have so much energy and I don't get tired as quickly as I used to. The aches and pains from arthritis in my knees is not nearly as bad because I've taken weight off of my knees. So I promise you, y'all, it's worth it. Now, I know a lot of the stuff that I've told you on this episode makes it sound like, oh my God, why do you do this? But then when you see the results and you feel the results, it's all worth it. Most of the stuff that I've talked about, you might not even experience, but there's a lot of stuff that I have experienced, which has not been anything major, that nobody had ever told me before. It was not one of the things discussed at my appointments or classes or anything else. But I just wanted you to know. Now, like I said at the beginning of this episode, my intention is not to run you off, like turn your brain off and be like, nope, we're not doing this surgery. Like I said, I just want to inform you of some things that you may not know about it. Now, I encourage you to do your own research and think deeply about it. I mean, it is a major surgery. It is very, very life-changing, but I promise it's for the better. And in my opinion, the benefits from the surgery are far greater than the risk. Y'all have a good night.